So what's going on guys, Kades here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the best Crusader build in Diablo Immortal. So at the start I will explain how to play this class, then we will look into the best skills, rotations and attributes that you want to use. Then later we will go over the awakening, best stones, where to use your paragon levels, and even which gems you want to use on your gear. And then lastly I will show you the best gameplay, so you would know how to get out your abilities, the highest damage possible and much more. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So Crusader in the endgame is a powerful melee and AoE damage based class, with the fastest overall movement speed in the game, because there is an ability that lets you ride a horse. So not only you can move fast, but your primary attack transforms into a new attack that can do damage while being on top of a horse. If damage becomes ever a problem, then Crusader has defensive skills such as Punish for improved block chance or Conjuring of Light to make you and your party members invulnerable for a short duration. Crusaders also fill a party role as a scout/tank, dealing AoE damage to trash monsters, activating events and pulling enemies together, to then use big AoE skills, and much more. So then let's move over to the build, and for your skills you want to get the Punish, Drawn Quarter, Consecration, Falling Sword and Spinning Shield. So first of all, the first ability is called Punish, and this will hit the enemy and you will gain a Hardened Sense effect that increases your block chance by 30% for 2 seconds. Then plus we get an ultimate skill called Counter Attack Storm, so then when you activate this ability, you can hit all enemies in front of you, increasing its damage per hit and increasing your block chance bonus. You also gain a shield that absorbs damage to equal 20% of your maximum HP. Overall, this is amazing primary skill that does damage and most importantly, gives you incredible survivability, especially against stronger bosses. Then moving over to the second ability, which is the Jaw and Quarter, and this ability will let you use a warhorse for 6 seconds, removing all movement impairing effects, increasing your movement speed by 65% and replacing your primary attack with a strike. On top of that, a bunch of holy chains will bind up to 8 nearby monsters and drag them as you ride. Overall, as you can tell, this skill is essential to playing this class, because this is the time when Crusaders do the highest damage and you become the fastest player in the game. Then for the next ability we have the Consecration, and this skill will enhance the ground around you, dealing damage to all nearby enemies over 6 seconds. Overall, this is one of the best AoE abilities in Diablo Immortal, and this skill can wipe out huge amount of enemies. So then for the next ability we have the Falling Sword, and this skill places your holy sword at a location where it deals damage over 5 seconds to all nearby enemies. You have the option to activate the skill again to launch yourself into the heavens and come crashing down at the sword's location, dealing damage to all nearby enemies and retrieving the sword. Overall, the skill offers a lot of extra AoE damage, and in the endgame it will become even more powerful. And then lastly, the fifth ability is called Spinning Shield, that activates actual spinning shields that inflict damage to all enemies around you, and you will slow their movement speed at the same time. Overall, this skill does insane amount of damage, especially to bosses, so use it as much as you can. And then last but not the least, this build is meant for super high damage, but in case if from time to time you want to be more like a tank and support your team, then a good alternative is to use this second build. So here we switch the Consecration for Conjuring of Light, and then we switch the Falling Sword for the Holy Banner. But you want to use the support build only when doing group content, and only if you want to sacrifice a bit of damage for more buffs. So then moving over to the rotation, and you first of all want to start by using the Jaw and Quarter and run around the dungeon and aggro a bunch of monsters. Then when you group them up together, then use the Consecration, then activate the Spinning Shield, then use the Falling Sword, and then from here, just keep on spamming your basic attacks called Punish. And whenever your cooldowns come back up, repeat the same rotation. And then from time to time, when you want to play a full support, then your rotation should be very similar. So you use the horse to group up enemies, but then you use the Holy Banner, then Conjuring of Light, then Spinning Shield, and then again just keep on spamming your Punish attack, and it's that simple. So then let's go over to the best Crusader attributes, and the main attribute that you want to get is Strength, and then secondary attribute is Fortitude. The way you do this is by using equipment that either way has Strength or Fortitude, and for your weapons you first of all want to prioritize how much damage it does, and then secondary the attribute. So then moving over to your character, and this is how your gear should look like. So first of all, for your offhand you want to go with the Sinkhole Cross, and socket in the Blood-Soaked Jade. We chose this item because of its perks, which will make your Spinning Shield, instead of just doing damage when you throw it, now the shields will hover over your character, they will of course do more damage and slow the enemy movement at the same time. And if you awaken this item, then spinning shields will get a cooldown reduction for 10%. Then for the main hand, we want to go with the Tamil and Sagatin, the Blessing of the Worldly. Then for your perks, we now make our Falling Sword summon a storm of blades that continually keep doing damage to all nearby enemies. And if you awaken, then the Falling Sword cooldowns get reduced by 10%. Then moving over to the next one, which is the leg armor, and we want to go with the bladed djembe and put in the Fervent Fang gem. Then for your perks, if before your horse would do damage and drag your enemies, then now instead of dragging, all enemies will get burned. And if you awaken, then you will get plus 10% damage increase. Then moving over to the shoulders, and we want to go with the Sivkat's advantage and Sagatin, the lightning core gem. Then for your perks, your horse gets to increase its duration for 30%. And if you awaken, then your horse cooldown get reduced by additional 10%. Then for one of the last items, we have the chest armor, called the Besieger, and we Sagatin, the Berserker's Eye. Then for your perks, your horse ability now once in a while, based on RNG system, will drop small grenades that do a bunch of AoE damage. And then lastly, we have the helmet called Arrow Keeper, and we Sagatin, the Everlasting Torment gem. Then for your perks, if before the Holy Banner would sit in one place, then now it can move with you, so that means that this buff will move as well, and if you awaken, then the banner itself gets a life increase by 10%. As you can tell, this helmet won't help us with the DPS build, so if you want to use both builds, then get this head armor, but if not, then for only DPS builds, you can pick whatever else head armor you want. Then for your charm, you want to get this exact piece that gives all of your skills that you use damage increase. And then last but not the least, for your neck, you want to go with the Wisdom's Edge and Sagatin, the Aquamarine, Citrine and Ruby gem. Then for your finger, get the Fair Fleet and Sagatin, the Ruby gem. Then for your other finger, get the Fall Fleet and Sagatin, the Tourmaline gem. Then for your hands, get the Hurtling Steel and Sagatin, 3 Tourmaline gems. Then for your waist, get the Whip Crack and put in 3 Topaz gems. And then lastly, for your feet, get the Stamp Stair and Sagatin, 1 Aquamarine and 2 Sapphire gems. And then just before we move on to the next part of the video, I want to clarify a few things on the armor. The exact items and gems I'm showing you are the best of the best, so it does not mean that you have to get perfect 5 out of 5 star gems or rank 20 items, but you simply use whatever is the best on your character, and bit by bit, when you get these gear pieces and gems, start equipping them, and this is how your full endgame build fully completed will look like. So then moving over to Awakening. And like I mentioned, for each gear, legendary items in Diablo Immortal can be awakened to unlock another perk on your item. To awaken a legendary item, you need the item itself and a legendary gem at rank 10, as this feature is meant for late game, so don't try to expect all items awakened right away. But if you can, your priority should be awakening the shoulders called Sivkat's Advantage, then your leg armor called Bladed Djembe, then your offhand called Single Cross, and then lastly the chest armor called Besieger. And then from here you can awaken whatever item you want in whatever order you prefer. So then moving over to the gems, and we already covered the best gems that you want to use on your items in the gear section of this video. But in case if you can't get your hands on the best gems, then in the meanwhile I want to give you a few best alternatives that will be good as well. So the best starter gems are the Everlasting Torment, Fervent Fang, Berserker's Eye, Lightning Core, Zealot's Weakening and Chain Death. All of these gems will be useful and good alternatives, but like I said, for the best of the best, watch again the gear part of this video. So then moving over to the charm, and like I said, when we are looking into what gear we want to use, this charm that will give bonuses to Spinning Shield, Consecration, Drawn Quarter, Falling Sword and Punish is the best of the best, but especially at the beginning it's not that easy to get. So if this is the case, then your charm priority should be on getting the bonuses for Punish, Drawn Quarter, Spinning Shield, Consecration and then lastly Falling Sword. If you have at least a charm with few of these abilities, then that will be already really good. But now you know at least what bonuses are the best and how much they're worth by ranking. And then lastly, like all of us know, we can upgrade and rank up our gear and gems by salvaging gems and those items that we don't use, so then we can improve our equipment. But there's one last final endgame feature that is called Family Bonus Stones. So when one of your primary 6 gear pieces reach rank 6, you can reforge that gear and improve it even more by putting in a reforging stone. And the 3 best stones for Crusader is Vengeance Stone, Tremor Stone and Ravager Stone. But like I've said many times, all of this is meant for super late game, so try to get as high rank on your items as possible and slowly start upgrading them with stones. So then moving over to the last and most important feature, which is the paragon system. So you start gaining paragon levels after hitting level 60. Each level will grant you 1 paragon point that you can allocate into any open category. In general, there are 5 categories and each one gives you more defense, XP bonuses and much more. So then for your Crusader, right after you reach max level and start gaining paragon levels, you want to put your points into the Vanquisher category. And this is how your first 50 paragon points should be spent. So I recommend to unlock first of all the first damage node, then Zeal, then second damage node and then the Wrath. And then from here you can unlock all the other nodes in whatever order you prefer. But then as I expect many players will be playing and watching this video many months in the game, so then for players with paragon level 100, this is how your paragon tree should look like. And then lastly with players that have 150 points, then this is how it should look like in the very late game, and that's about it. So with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching guys and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback or other good Diablo Immortal builds that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have a nice day and I will see you in my next video, so take it easy, peace. Yo, I ain't here